very few things that are as selfless as coming into law enforcement, into the corrections, coming to a sheriff's office in this day and age.
From the heart of the country in Douglas County, Kansas, this is View from 100, a behind-the-scenes look at law enforcement, community, and the stories that shape our county.
It's an honor and a privilege to serve not just the community, but my community. I mean, I was born and raised here.
Hosted by your sheriff, Jay Armbrister, bringing you insights from the badge and beyond.
All right, thank you, everybody. Welcome back to episode number 8. And this one is a big one. It's a good one, but it's well-timed because we have a big event coming up, an annual event that we have every year. So I've got some guests here to help me. One that you'll recognize from our triggering episode a couple of months ago about suicide. But Morgan's back to help us explain. But what we're going to talk about today is the Citizens Academy. And this... to kind of go historically, go kind of backwards and work forwards, Sheriff Kenny McGovern had the idea to do this. Now, this had happened in many different places under many different roofs, but his vision was to have a more hands-on, a more kind of enveloping approach, and we just basically fling the doors open, allow citizens to come in, root around in the darkest corners of our agency, and learn from us what it is to do the work we do, but also on how to be a good steward of this information, but also how to go out into the community and kind of, I'm not saying to advocate because we don't always deserve advocation, but to be a voice of reason when people are like, why the F does the sheriff's office or does law enforcement or does the jail do this? You can be like, hey, I actually learned about this when I did the Citizens Academy, and here's what goes on. We're not saying it's right, but here's how it works. So today we're going to talk about the Citizens Academy and what we do, why we do it, how we do it, but also I've got several guests here that they're going to introduce themselves shortly, but we're going to start right over here with
hi.
You again.
Yeah, me, hi.
So tell us, again, remind folks, the 9 viewers who watch our podcast, who you are, what you do in your day job, but talk about the what, the where, the why, the how of the Citizens Academy, and we'll just kind of play it from there.
Nice. So I'm Morgan Haney. I do community outreach for the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, and what I do is I'm the person that runs Citizens Academy. And so it is a 7-week, 9-session event where we really let you guys come in, as you to remember, like behind the scenes of exactly what the Douglas County Sheriff's Office does in every aspect of it. So I was making a list of, what did you guys learn and all those kinds of things. And I realized there's really nothing you guys don't learn of a person in every part of our agency and whatever role they're in. And so that's really fun. So it's corrections, patrol, investigations, court security, reentry, dispatch. I know I'm missing a ton, and you get to come and do everything that they get to do. So you get to learn how to fingerprint and fingerprint dust, and you learn how to shoot guns and drive cars and do car stops. You know what it's like when we have to call the K-9 out and they have to try to find some drugs. You guys all got to witness all of that happen real time.
Yeah. That too.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
so, I mean, you're right. The term corrections division is just, it's very simple in that it's the jail, but it's so much more than that in that it's reentry. It's a fully operational 24/7 medical facility. It's inpatient and outpatient treatment at times. It's so much more than that. But that's absolutely correct, is that we invite, what do we take, 16 people, up to 16?
No, we take up to 23. So 15 to 23 is our area.
I was right on.
Right on.
I told
Nailed
you.
it.
I told you so. So we take upwards of 23 people. But that's something that we can go ahead and cover now is the application process. We have had people who have been charged with felonies. We have people who have been convicted of felonies. We have people who are unapologetically not police happy, I guess, if that's such a term, or law enforcement. And we open our doors to almost anybody. We have had to turn some folks away, but that's that's just the nature of the beast. But for the most part, we've had some amazing experiences with people who wouldn't have normally been allowed into a program like this. And that's what I think makes it so great. Not just that we get to meet and experience this group of people who want to learn, but also that they can learn from us and see what it is we do, but also the feedback that they can bring. So I always like to tell this story, and I'll tell it quickly. I don't remember which murder of a young black man it was several years ago by law enforcement, but a good friend of mine that I grew up with, played baseball with, was very vocal on social media about police murdering this young man. And it may have been George Floyd. I'm not certain, but it was something very similar. And in private conversations with him, I was like, look, man, I'm asking you to come in and be a part of our Citizens Academy. And that way, when you come out of it, you can help us understand what we need to know. You can see it from the inside, and then you can understand it. And even if you're still pissed, you're going to have a lot more credibility, so to speak, that you understand what it is we do and why we do it and how we do it. And he took me up on it, and it was amazing for both him and I. But at the end of it, he was so great. He's like, Jay, here's what I've learned. You guys need help. You need help doing background checks. You need help with mental health, and you need resources for people who you are sending out on the streets. We can talk all day about Derek Chauvin, who murdered George Floyd. Was he having just a bad day, or was he having a mental health crisis that had gone undetected for years? I don't know. None of us know that. But what I do know is that we have a duty to send the very best people in the very best shape out to handle the most dangerous work that our society can bring to us. So that was something he and I both took away from that. I found it just absolutely amazing how he could go through all of this and still come back and be like, you know what, I misunderstood some things, but here's what you do need to do. And it was great suggestions. And that's something we've actually we've actually shown, in my opinion, great strides towards. So I say that only to kind of reiterate the fact that this is not about us showing, teaching, and turning people in our favor. It's about showing people what we do and then having them say, well, why do you do it that way? Or have you thought about this? And we may say, we've never heard of that. That's a great idea. Or here's why we can't do that. That's illegal. Here's the law that says we can't do that. No, we can't just shoot somebody in the knee. That's a lot of our jail is not full of marijuana users and marijuana dispensers. I mean, there's a reality, there's narratives, and then there's reality. So it's the perfect place to kind of bring that to. So enough of me standing here and talking, or sitting and talking about this. Let's meet our two guests. I'll start with Hannah, and then so tell us about who you are in your day job. And I mean, I already know, we are quite well aware, but tell the folks. But also, why did you want to get in the Citizens Academy? What was your biggest takeaway? What was your biggest surprise? What did you learn? But also, was there anywhere that you saw a need for change or a need for more understanding on our part? So yeah, you go.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
This is seriously one of the best crews. We became kind of family during our Citizens Academy. So,
and how long ago did you guys go through it?
We just completed Citizens Academy this past spring.
Okay.
And it was a really big commitment for somebody who goes to bed typically like 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Because it's an evening thing. But
you stay up late.
It's a rough life I lead. But my name is Hannah Bolton. I am the founder and program director of Cardinal Housing Network. This is a new nonprofit here in Douglas County. I got into transitional housing for women through this program after a very long stint of alcohol addiction that my brother faced throughout his 20s. My brother passed away in January. It's been 5 years. The 5-year anniversary was just last week.
Okay.
But he really struggled to find support in terms of housing after we would find different solutions for him. He wasn't involved much with law enforcement, which I do find very interesting now that I'm in this work.
Sure.
But we really struggled to find him a place to live after he would go to inpatient treatment, after he would go to LMH. This was before the TRC had opened. And what I gathered, and one of the things that I think a lot of us do when we're in these crisis situations, is we're really looking for solutions. And we kind of took an assessment as a family of what is available here in town, and it's not a lot. I would say for men, too, it's almost double the amount of beds available than for women. There's only 15 beds currently available for moms with kids, and that's including the kids. It's not just 15 moms, it's 15 moms and kids. And so after my brother had passed away, was in a really interesting situation where I was unemployed. I had left my job after 5 years, a job that I really loved, doing major gift fundraising for KU, and kind of found myself in a position where I had kind of given up all of this in an attempt to try something new, and every road kept leading me back to Douglas County. I really wanted to move to San Diego, to be honest. It's really windy outside today and cold, and so I was like, that would have been nice. But, I have been, working on this program almost since, I guess it's been almost 2022, so 3 years. The organization was founded in 2024. Our first house opened in 2025. And we actually exclusively take folks that are incarcerated in the Douglas County Jail. So it's folks that are typically high acuity to services here in town, folks that are regularly finding themselves in Douglas County Jail. And there's a lot of ways you can find yourself in jail, too. It doesn't have to be much, but I will say as those start compounding, your ability to, rebuild is a lot harder. And so we really kind of wanted to focus on this house that we started. It opened in late May of 2025, but focusing on the folks that really don't have a lot of other options. Folks with felonies, folks that don't have any money to pay any rent. That is something that the Douglas County Sheriff's Office provides, is 30 days of their rent to get them to all of their medical appointments. We have a staff of just 2 for us, but our team consists primarily of folks from the reentry team at the jail. And they are incredible.
I know.
Yeah, no, honestly, and I remember reaching out to Carrie way back when this program started, Carrie Nice, who's the director, and kind of talking to her about this program, and she's like, it's so needed here. And so, I've noticed that with all of this unfolding, that the Sheriff's Office has been like the one true partner in terms of whatever you need, we will provide. So I just want to acknowledge too, I don't think that happens often. I think a lot of times people think, oh, once they're released, then that is someone else's problem. That is not the case here in Douglas County, which I think is incredible. So,
well, I'm gonna jump in here. I'm gonna clarify a few things, but I'm also gonna say thanks. But you conceived, built, and opened a facility that nobody else would or had, and you are currently doing work other believed to be impossible. It is my understanding. We have a great partner in Artists Helping the Homeless who created a blueprint for boys only. And I'm sure that's been helpful, at least having them as peers. But even they were like, females are very difficult. It's a very difficult. And so therefore we had nothing for these ladies, especially if they had children or felonies or, high, severe and persistent mental illness. And so you have stepped into an open spot in this community and have been filling that role while also facing red tape and bureaucracy, as you and I know through tax districts and historical buildings and whatnot. But so I just don't. I love that you're selling yourself, but you're selling yourself short in that the work you've done is amazing. But also we know that it's still on the build because we're all still learning. But we're glad to be a partner, and I'm glad, and I appreciate you saying that too about the Sheriff's Office being a partner. In that most people do agree that once they leave our jail, they're not our problem anymore. And I would say it's been going up on 15 years now that Sheriff McGovern, again, had this idea. It was a national push, but he built a reentry program because we were realizing that these people were just coming right back to the jail. You send somebody out into the same environment with the same people that they got arrested in and expect something different. I'm pretty sure Einstein had a quote about that. It's just ridiculous. And so we decided if we could somehow use the time in jail to get them set up for more successful opportunities, we found that our jail population dropped, the cost to the taxpayers, because it costs a lot of money to house somebody in jail. But also, I have to give credit to this community and this county for funding the sheriff's office to do this work, because there's a lot of places to be like, no, once that person's out of jail, they don't deserve tax money. They don't deserve our money. And we don't see it that way in this community. And that's where, for as much complaining as I do about Lawrence not being able to get out of Lawrence's way sometimes, we do put our money where our mouth is when it comes to that. And so that's something that I always try to say, is that I have to give credit where credit's due. It's not the sheriff's office alone doing this, not Cardinal House doing it alone. It is kind of a communal effort. But so, yes, you were saying something less awesome than it actually is. So go ahead, carry on.
Thank you. So a big reason why I applied for Citizens Academy, I was recommended from Commissioner Dorsey. He said it was an incredible opportunity that he had the year prior. But the biggest thing is again, I mentioned I hadn't had a lot of interactions with law enforcement. It is kind of obscure that we were able to skate by almost 10 years in active addiction with really only, there was very minimal interaction. So that was something that I really wanted to put myself in the shoes of some of the women that were going through this. There's still language and lingo I don't understand that they're thrown around, and I'm like, can we stop? I don't know exactly what we're talking about. And then there's the whole legal process. Like the second that they get there, that's a real time where they're like, I have court, I've got things I've got to meet. And so it was really important to me that I had a better understanding of how the sheriff's office was interacting with the women. I had major concerns, too, about the location of the house, because it is right across from the courthouse. There's a lot of sheriff's cars sitting out front, and I was like, is this going to, be triggering?
I watch you right out my window. My office is
very scary.
Yeah.
I didn't know your office there.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those things where I was like, this is important to me. And I did go into this with some perceptions of aggressive mentality, I thought, in terms of all cops.
Yeah.
And I'll say that is, like, I grew up in a town of 300. We had one police officer, I think, for the whole county, and it was like, he was our friend. And so, when you start kind of figuring out how all of these things are, how all of it works, it really does put into perspective, like, this is an organization that is providing care for the community rather than punishment and severe, I don't know what exactly the term I'm looking for is, but it is all done for the greater good, which is exactly how transitional housing works too. Like, you're really trying to build a system that works for everyone, but with the greater good in mind. So I got more than I ever thought I could out of it. I learned so much about just the day in and day out. I think the main takeaway that I had was, you all train a lot. And I am so impressed with how thoughtful and consistent you are with training, and how open everyone was to training us to those things. So sure. I don't want to take up too much more time. It's all you.
Yeah. All right.
Me?
Yeah.
Me? My name is Matthew Fredrick. I do criminal defense here, both appointed work and retained work. I also do some civil plaintiffs litigation. I can speak to, just to touch on Hannah's work. I was just at a hearing the other day, actually, and I saw an individual who was receiving services at one of the Cardinal House. Phenomenal outcome in terms of what I heard. I'd go down to the courthouse because I always joke, it's like casinos. They're like pumping extra oxygen in the air down there. So I just like to go down there and take in the ambiance and the law, and I just like to bask in it. But I got to hear that. And so I can firsthand attest to, I agree with Sheriff Armbrister, you undersold yourself. I can firsthand attest to the results of your work. I'm not as cool as Hannah, I can tell you that. I do defense work, just got on the appointed attorney panel because I wanted to get in the courtroom. That's my favorite part of being a lawyer. The other parts of being a lawyer, I would not comment on. They're not as great, let's say.
Yeah.
But being in the courtroom, and then I got to work with people and really see kind of the difference that you can make, and really see how impactful some of these situations are. And I could do things, my clients were so appreciative, and I was like, wow, this is my job. I'm very happy to see that this has helped you in this way. And there's a paper that I found that talks about the impact of misdemeanors specifically, because I think in some ways, felonies are the big one, but misdemeanors, there's kind of a snowball effect that can happen where there's someone's first misdemeanor, for example. That can be kind of a point where it's either going down path A or path B, and path A and B are very different.
Sure.
And if, with the wrong things throughout the process, because the sheriff's office might be part of the process, different from Lawrence Police Department,
right?
Because somebody is going to go to the jail probably,
right?
More likely than not. And so then they're going to interact with the sheriff's department. They're going to interact with all of the services that you guys talked about. And so that's kind of where I work. And I got specifically introduced to the Citizens Academy because Deputy Cheek at the courthouse, phenomenal deputy. We have the best deputies. This is the best sheriff's department in the state of Kansas. And I would argue in the country that objectively, it is my opinion that it's the best in the country. And if you look at the resources available, there are larger counties in Kansas. There are counties with more money in Kansas. There are not counties that are doing the same things, that are doing them at the same level with the same care in them, and actually wanting to see results in the state of Kansas. And I will go to the mat on that. So
I'll go with
sheriff's department that wants to come and talk to me about that, I'm happy to.
It's funny you say that, because every year and several times a year I go and meet with the Kansas Sheriff Association, which I'm a proud member of. But there's 105 counties, there's 104 sheriffs because Manhattan's weird, but they have a consolidated government. They don't have a sheriff. 104 sheriffs. And it's funny because I'll go to these, and one sheriff in particular, he was like, "Hey, how are things up in Woke Lawrence?" And I'm just like, "Hey, I'm almost fully staffed. How are you?" "Holy crap! How did you guys do that? How'd you?" And it's funny because they like to bag on Lawrence, and they like to say how we're just backwards and hard to work with, and we're different. But then in the same sentence, they always like to tell me their favorite place to eat in Lawrence, and they want to know how it is. Did you get that? How'd you get that reentry thing off the ground? How are you doing? Competency restoration in your jail. How is that working out for you? So they watch, they see what we do, and they accuse us of having all this money. Well, we don't. You're absolutely right. There are counties that have 2 or 3 more digits ahead of our budget, but our community has agreed to fund the things that we believe in, and that is these resources, as opposed to more bars, more guards, more walls. It's how do we keep people out of jail? And I appreciate you saying that, and I totally agree. But I think that even our own community loses sight of how hard we work to be different and to do things differently. But also, when you stay in this same little ecosystem, and you don't have a stick by which to measure anymore, you feel like maybe we're stagnant or we're not doing something that we should be doing. But then you step outside of it and you realize we are doing things way ahead, above, beyond, and ahead. So thank you.
That includes specialty courts, a drug court, a behavioral health court, now a veterans treatment court.
Yep.
Okay, and that's everybody down at the courthouse, everybody in the sheriff's department, phenomenal. I haven't interacted with Lawrence Police Department as much. I have no reason to think anything other than the case. I'm just partial to the Sheriff's Department, having gone through the Citizens Academy. So, but I think it's important because this law enforcement is a necessary part of our society. I'm saying that as somebody who defends people, right? Who goes up to prosecutors and says, "So are we dismissing this case that's been brought unjustly against my client who did nothing wrong?" And this is all a big misunderstanding. Regularly, you can ask all the prosecutors; they will confirm that. And so, practically, how did I get into the Citizens Academy? One of the deputies, Deputy Cheek, I believe, fairly certain, mentioned it to me, and I was in. I mean, just to get to do it, to learn about it, and frankly, I'm going to stand up. I might be cross-examining a deputy at some point in time, and I might say, "Hey, deputy, I went through the Citizens Academy. I learned that this is how you're supposed to do it, and you didn't do it that way." And don't you think that these fine people sitting over here might have some doubts about the conclusions? And they knew that going in, and you were open to it.
100%.
I mean, it was not, it was...
It's another layer of accountability.
Exactly, and that's how I view my role. If you got somebody, you got somebody. I mean, there are laws, those get enforced. My job is to make sure that people's rights are protected, that if it's not done correctly, that that they have somebody to advocate for them. But there's another side of that, and I wanted to understand the other side of that process for a number of reasons that I could take way too long to talk about, just because pick a topic. And I mean, as I said, my excitement about this is nearly uncontainable. So you could ask Morgan. I mean, everything that we got to do, I would call it like the Cliff Notes of what the sheriff's department does, but that kind of undersells it because it's actually, we got to do more than that. I mean, 7 weeks, 9 sessions, multi-hour sessions where we went to the jail. Another place I like going, Great Chili. I wanted to make sure that we put that on the record. Okay.
Seconded.
Yes.
And I understand that that's unique in terms of how the jail. I mean, there are many things about the county.
I don't know
about
how
the
many
sheriff's
counties still
department.
have an active, a fully operational working kitchen in their jails. Most everybody is a contract where they every 2 or 3 days you get a pallet delivered with individual meals that they heat on trays, they rip a lid off of, and they hand through the bean hole, Wow. And so we're and I'll admit that one of the first people that contacted me when I got sworn in was that big company saying, "Hey, why don't you give us a chance to come in and talk to you?" And I said, "No, thanks," because not only would it take jobs away, we hire people, it takes work away from our inmates who have the opportunity to go in and work and get either time or fines taken off of there, and also we find that those folks who have a job have something to lose, but they also have something to look forward to, and they want that job, and so it's a win-win for everybody. So thank you. Yeah, no, it's again another one of those weird things that Lawrence does is try to do what's right by the people.
And this is coming from somebody I have referred to Lawrence as the California of Kansas.
Oh, 100%.
In an opening statement.
I would say I'd take it a step further. We're the Berkeley of the Midwest.
I'm not geographically well versed enough, but I'll take.
We're the Austin. The
weirdos.
Yeah,
right?
we are weird.
I mean,
and
I live here, so I'm one of us.
We're weird just right.
So that's how I got into Citizens Academy. It was awesome. Phenomenal experience. Everybody I got to work with, learn from, everybody that I got to do it with, as also going through the Citizens Academy. I mean, it was just a great experience. I think anybody and everybody should apply and do it, and make it difficult for you guys to choose those 16 or 15 to 23 individuals to do it.
Same thing. Yeah. Well, and I would argue too is that we don't want 16 to 23 cheerleaders. We'll take them all day long. Don't get me wrong, but we want people who want to come in and learn and have critical thinking skills and ask the right questions and hold our feet to the fire if we're not doing something right or we're doing something that they don't understand or they don't think is right, and then we can try to explain it. This is not about us building an army of advocates to go out and say the sheriff's office is doing great work. It's about us having an opportunity to turn 16 people into people that want to do that, and I think that gets lost too, is like that we handpick people that are only going to leave here singing our tune, and that's just simply not the case. I mean, I'm sure there's people that have graduated out of the Citizens Academy that still believe that we should be doing things differently, and they have every right to believe that. But I don't want to exclude somebody just because they may feel that way. So now, what were kind of some of the high points for the two of you? What was something you just flat enjoyed, and what was something that just really took you off or kind of caught you like, I had no idea, or that was a surprise? I'll start with you, Hannah.
I think I really enjoyed the way that it was set up. By the time that we got to more of the actual field work, we were all pretty much in community. You had become our full-time camp counselor. We were really in a position where it was enjoyable, but also educational. But the way that it starts, first evening was being addressed by you to kind of
formal.
To talk about, how this all kind of is set up. But it was so thoughtful everywhere we go. The first day, though, you all put on a reentry simulation. And I just want to advocate here, too, how important that training is to anybody. And I'll tell you a little bit about a reentry simulation. Basically, it's set up in a room. The reentry team provides some support, artists helping the homeless. There's some other volunteers. But basically, you're kind of given a card at the first stop, and you're like, okay, here's all of the things that I need to know. I'm being released from jail. I have $6 to my name. I have a disability that requires, I have some mobility issues, and you're kind of given this package of this persona, and you need to navigate what it looks like for the first 30 days after releasing from jail. And you have to go to all these different places with the bus pass that you might not have money to buy. Luckily in Lawrence, they're free. But it basically shows you how difficult it is to reintegrate into the community if you do not have resources like money, a place to live, supportive lawyers, whatever it is, your barriers are so high. And the reality is a lot of people fail. At the end of that reentry simulation, there's 4 corners. One of them's you're in an apartment. The other one's you're in jail.
Yeah.
The other one's you're in
The shelter.
The shelter.
Yeah.
Or, maybe homeless, whatever it looks like. And by the end of it, almost everyone was back in jail because they violated something, because they couldn't get to where they needed to go on time. They missed a court date because they don't have an active phone, whatever it looks like. And throughout the whole Citizens Academy, we all kept coming back to that being such a transformative thing. And I remember talking to some folks that were like, I want to do that with my church group because I think people will better understand how this all works.
Sure.
So that to me was the most critical part. That was the second time I'd done it. The first time I'd done it, I literally couldn't stop thinking about it for months on end. I was like, that was traumatic, but also just experiential learning. That's how you learn things. I would say that being the core piece that I really loved. The other part I really loved was going into dispatch. Also,
great monitor setup.
I mean,
really good monitor
but
setup.
you walk into this space and there's how many 8 or 9 monitors,
Yeah. I mean, it's
and
just,
it is there's a lot of it's dimly lit, but there's lights everywhere, and
Phones
everyone
ringing and
there
people talking and
is so calm, cool, collected, and they're just one of the women was telling me that she's like, this is the best job I've ever had, and because she gets to assist people, and I was like, I would have never guessed dispatch looked like that. Ever
apply to be a dispatcher.
yeah. Oh,
Me?
please.
No.
Yeah. Oh, well,
Just
anybody.
the public, the world at large.
Yeah.
Just know you're talking to my mother when you look at because she's one of the few people that watches
Miss
this.
Armbrister.
But yeah, I mean there is no better way to learn than through experiential learning.
Yep.
I truly believe the best way to do it is just to try it,
100%.
and it will stick with you.
Yep.
And I think that's just about everything about the Citizens Academy. It's all just stuck with me. And that is very indicative of just how thoughtful the process was put together, how great the group was. I mean, we were all excited to see each other, and
I was pumped every time.
Oh, the most pumped.
Yeah.
But I just think it's a really special thing. But there's nothing you can't read a book and learn any of this. You've got to do it.
Yeah.
As your cortisol levels will recover from the reentry simulation. You said, I think most people fail. I don't know that anybody succeeded. And I don't know that it was like getting your hair lit on fire. And then you have to go do 10 different tasks.
Yeah.
And one of them is a crossword.
Oh,
And
the crossword.
Let me tell you, I graduated law school. I have a law license. You could not have paid me enough money. I couldn't find words. I couldn't find words on the crossword because that's what stress does to you. And you can hear that and you can read that and you can understand kind of the semantic meaning of that. But until you're sitting there with an expo marker trying to find the second word in the crossword and you don't really know what it feels like. And until you hand some money to a seemingly nice probation officer that then asks where your bus ticket is, or you give them your bus ticket, and then they ask where something else that you need is. And you go, oh, can I have my bus ticket back? And they say, oh, no, you cannot. And it turns out maybe they're not the nicest.
Right.
And we have great PO officers. Okay, so
Right,
I'm not this is a simulation, everybody. But that was quite an experience. And you just kind of don't learn those things. And I got just absolutely fleeced at a pawn shop on my TV. I mean, it was unbelievable, right? And Yeah, my grievance is I didn't have time to submit a grievance because I couldn't even get the crossword puzzle done.
You were doing the crossword puzzle, and you were like saying that we had like faked it. It wasn't a real crossword
did
puzzle.
feel
You
fake.
were arguing with us, and we were like, "You're running out of time, man. Like, find the word."
I was expressing my objections. It was irrelevant, you know. And so that's good. It's good to kind of be in that position because I mean, as a lawyer, right, you're automatically going to end up, you might not understand the position. And most people, I always describe this, most people don't want to think about what it's like being in the position that you're in the criminal justice system.
Right.
By the time you're in the position that you're dealing with the criminal justice system, the water's so high up to your neck, you're not thinking about how you can do anything with it, right? You're just trying to make it through and get out of it.
Yeah.
And so it's something where unless the people who are a part of it are actively swimming upstream to work to how can we improve this? How can we do things? How can we make people aware of this? It's just not something that improves. And that's what's happening here. And that's kind of what I took away from the Citizens Academy, that reentry simulation, the active shooter simulation, the car stop simulation. I mean, I asked for a more aggressive, rowdier car stop. They roll these highly tinted windows down. I think somebody needs to follow up with whoever the owner of that vehicle is. We won't name any names.
I just know there's a carve out in the statute for law enforcement vehicles.
Well, I didn't even say that they were law enforcement, right? So I'm not going to incriminate anybody. But I know the window rolls down and somebody's got their phone up and the lights on and they're recording me. And it was good music, but it was very loud. Was bumping. There's 4 people in the car. I didn't even
on that car
look
stop.
in the back seat. I couldn't even look in the back seat because like you're taking in all these sensory experiences. Yeah, that is not a situation I envy. And I don't know that you can know what that's like until you go through it. And you could say, well, it's been 30 seconds. I haven't even looked in the back. There's 2 people in the back seat. I haven't even looked in the back seat. So like that could be a problem in a real world situation.
In the back of your mind, we're not there to hurt you, but your mind all of a sudden shuts off that part. Yeah. And like people feel real stress at that moment. Like, holy shit, I might be in trouble here.
That's exactly right. And so for me, as somebody who I watch a lot of body cam footage, I review a lot of evidence, Axon. I get all that shared with me. I review that. I now, when I go in and I can understand a situation better, I can say, okay, what's reasonable? I mean, what's reasonable to expect and demand of law enforcement officers, knowing what it's like in those situations? So I'm not going to waste credibility with a jury where I'm arguing something that then they're going to come up and they're going to be able to convey to the jury just how hard it is. Right. That's not a reasonable expectation. X, Y, or Z is not something. So that's also something I took away from the process. Like I said, it's things that I could use as I do my work. So I can either, and on the other hand, explain to my clients, this is why things are happening, right? Yep. You may not like it. Here, go talk to the legislature. Go lobby for change, right? Do that. If you don't like it, that's the way to do it. But until then, that's the way that it is. And so that's helping. And when I do that, when they can understand, when my clients understand, I've never run into a situation where when I fully explain something, they understand why something is happening, that they will accept it, right? To their credit. They might be in a tough situation, and I might, there might be any number of reasons to say, well, look, something else could have happened to this person. They could very well be in your position, and maybe that's not exactly fair, but what we're talking about is what's going on with you. And so that's all we're looking at. But when I can help them understand that, it takes the frustration off. Sure. And so then they can kind of go through the process and understand that this is not a system that's just like, especially in Douglas County, that is just looking to be punitive. And that is part of it. That's part of what law enforcement has to do. For us to have a society that exists, we need structure to it that has to come in the form of law enforcement. That's just a necessary thing. But to do that with the added benefit of, well, how can we accomplish that objective while giving people as many opportunities as we can to have them
reasonable opportunities.
Exactly. Reasonable opportunities.
Absolutely.
That gives them a way out through a specialty court, through a diversion where I can work and I can talk to, an officer or a deputy and say, hey, look, I think that you should support this diversion because here's what was going on in this person's life. I mean, I'm their advocate.
Yep.
The sheriff's department's not their advocate. Right? I mean, they actually are here more than anywhere else. But in reality, they're not. I mean, there's different sides to it.
Yeah, we're supposed to be neutral, technically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, the prosecution's doing their thing, and they are working with, the sheriff's department, who's neutral, who's investigating. They're not
Neutral
investigating to give awards for this was a very good citizen. Yes, we made a stop today, and here's your certificate that you are a very good citizen. Right? They're investigating crimes. That's what they do. Good.
I just want to let you know that you're going well under the speed limit. Thank you. Carry on. Yeah,
We
you want to
maybe
get a
should
complaint,
dole
do
something
that.
over that, and
There was a city that actually did that. They sent the officers out with these things like $5 gift card for coffee and this to give to good drivers. They told them to stop good drivers and thank them. That took like 3 hours, and the phones were melting with complaints that you just stopped me for doing what I was supposed to do.
Right.
Yeah, and on top of the civil liberties violations.
I was going to say, I would be challenging some of those stops. If you get a plain view.
All of a sudden, you've got
right?
somebody on a warrant, or somebody's got a roach in the. I mean, oh my God, no!
I'd be filing a motion on that stop.
Yeah, it shouldn't have even made it at that point.
Maddie, I just really like what you're kind of going with because you're the advocate for your clients, but I kind of have this dual role where I'm your guys' advocate, but I'm also advocating for the sheriff's office and not as a sheriff's office employee, but as Morgan to literally my family.
Yeah.
So everybody that you met, everyone you talked to within the sheriff's office, I love, I care about, I think they're very important. And so for you guys to walk away after doing the car stops, after doing some of these high intensity things and just feeling just a little bit softer, a little bit more compassion, I know that my family, my real family, because I am married into this and family is all over this, you're just going to be a little bit kinder to them. And that's what I care about. I want to make sure you guys are enjoying and you're learning, you're having a great time. But I also have this kind of other side of me that it's just so important that we understand that everybody's stressed. Everyone's doing life. Everyone's trying the hardest that they can. And so I like that you asked for that non-compliant driver car stop because it was really high stress and it was really crazy. But then also it was a chance for you to see the training of what our people do and how well they can do it and how calm they can stay. It's just great. And then on your part, Hannah, there is a method to the madness, and we purposely do that reentry simulation in the beginning because twofold, it stresses you guys out. And so it's really interesting to see you guys carry that throughout the weeks of just thinking and referring back to that because I did have multiple people talk about it, but also it helps me and the other instructors to see who will get along, who handles stress really well, because later on, we're going to do more high stress things. And so are you going to be able to handle being in a car as we do our fast driving? Are you going to be able to handle the shooting and those kinds of things? How do you handle that high stress? And so we purposely kind of throw you in there and we just go, have fun, good luck, to get you guys thinking, but just to see the dynamic of all of you guys. And I love that there are the four walls where people are back in jail or people are at home. But then there's the people that are just sitting in the chair just going, I don't want to play anymore. And I go, you don't have to. You don't have to. But they just give up. And it's only been an hour of the simulation. And so I think that says something about how hard it is in the real life that if an hour of us playing it, you can't get through it. I can't imagine actually doing it.
For sure. Well, and I enjoy going to those. So Carrie, anytime they have them out in the community or something, she asked me to come and kind of talk and explain what's going on. But I always stick around because I love just walking around and listening. And we did one for, it was all judges and attorneys. And it was amazing to watch these judges and these people that I know and deeply respect and being like over there like, well, this TV is worth more than $5.
I would like to know which people specifically.
No, absolutely. I know my limits, but one of the, I think it was a judge or maybe one of the attorneys, they left their ID at one of the tables. And then I followed them around because they didn't know where it was. And then all of a sudden, I don't know if anybody knows how hard it is to do anything without an ID in this community, especially, or just in this life. So, but the one thing that we cannot do, we just can't simulate for that, is to not only make you go around and do all these things, but give you a mental illness, put that 1,000-pound backpack on you where you can't even feel like you can leave the house without everybody staring at you or coming to get you, or we can't even simulate the portion of how hard it is to do it when you're clean, sober, and ready for it, as opposed to just trying to survive day to day on top of doing all this. So I always one of our Burt Nash employees pointed that out to me one time, and it just kind of shifted the entire thing on its axis. Like, holy cow, we're giving them 50% of the real experience. So
Like, imagine you're in a dark room with a strobe light and just EDM music cranked on full, and then you have to just go through life like
100%,
that, right?
People yelling at you and staring at you, or pressed up against the window. It would be.
And nobody gives you an instruction manual to life. I mean, they don't tell you this. Actually, it'd be nice if they at least warned you at some point, but they don't. And then it's just kind of hitting you, and it's coming at you, and it's happening. You did remind me that one of my complaints with the sheriff's department might be that I did have an ID in the reentry program. It disappeared under suspicious circumstances. And I would say the sheriff's department did not investigate any of the people. I had some suspects. I turned some suspects over to the appropriate authorities.
Objection, hearsay.
Investigated. This is all, it's in my probable cause affidavit. I'm just laying it out for the prosecutor to make a decision, okay? So
we'll see.
That would be one of my complaints, that I felt like but I couldn't show that I didn't misplace it or something.
That's
and
exactly
so then
right.
I had to go get a new ID, and that's a whole rigmarole, and I needed to get new bus tickets, and then I had to do some bartering to get a bus ticket.
All while doing a crossword.
All while doing
not doing a crossword.
Yeah. I think collectively I maybe got 6 words doing the crossword 4 times.
For context, the crossword was a job. Like, it was going to your employment, and you were set specific amount of time to get a task done, and you don't get paid if you don't finish the task. It was the hardest crossword I've ever seen, and I didn't have any money, so I kept going back, and I kept trying, and they'd be like, 30 seconds, and I'm like, no!
Please don't tell me the time. Thank you. It's okay. I had a very
and
good
they did
and
it
lenient.
with smiles on their face, and I'm like, you're not going to pay me, are you?
Nope,
I'm going to jail tonight.
Yep.
And
Especially
it's
You
just
had
like
a less
context.
lenient employer.
Yeah.
I had a more lenient employer.
Oh,
Sharonda
when Sharonda, when she runs it,
Sharonda
she
is
ain't no
tough.
play in that. Mama don't take no
She
mess.
must have taken pity on me then, because she cut me some breaks. I think it was going that bad for me.
Yeah, it was a rough one.
Okay, well, so let's talk about the logistics of this thing. And so, can you talk about dates, deadlines, application process, how to, why?
Yes.
No, never mind. We covered that.
So the application is open right now. You guys can do that online. It's at dgso.org, and then it's underneath, I'm looking at my notes, the resource tabs, community programs, and then you can apply online right there. It's just kind of a fill in the form. It gets sent straight to me. I'll reply and notify you that I got it. And then at the end of, I think we're going to close applications at the end of February, I think is when we do it. We usually hold it open for about 2 months. I'll reach back out to you and let you know if you got in or not. And then it's every Thursday night over 7 weeks. The first one starts on April 2nd. And then your 2 Saturday sessions are April 18th and May 2nd. And those are all day sessions. It's from like 8 a.m. to 3. But those are the ones where you go out to the range and then you go to the driving course in another location. So
Is it still on Thursday nights?
it's on Thursday nights. Like you said, it does run a little bit later. It's from 5:30 to 9:30. But I also am an early to bed kind of person, so I can usually quicken it up and you guys can get out by 9.
And we will feed you.
Oh, yeah, we feed dinner.
It's
That's
good.
all provided.
It's good stuff.
It's very good stuff. A lot of it is local businesses here.
It's not all jail chili.
It's not all jail chili.
Which is also good
The
stuff.
best
but, yes.
meal I had.
So we feed you. We'll make sure that you have snacks, and we'd like you to participate for every single session. However, I know that life happens, and so you don't have to attend to every single one. And if you need to leave early or come late, it's all very flexible, and we can make that all work. And if you miss one that you really want to participate in, I'll have you come back the following year. So.
And if so, we have some folks who have come who are deeper into their number of years, and I don't want to call them old, but we've had some folks who are not young, And they want to be a part of it. But there's certain parts of it they just didn't feel comfortable taking part in. Or we've had people just say, I just don't want to do the car stops. Like, it's not worth getting that scared or stressed out to me. But they want to observe. This is not a requirement. This is not a check mark to graduate. So it's at your own pace. This is a salad bar, not a force feeding. So, and I will say about the application process too. Every application that comes through for this comes to me, and all I will say is that we are going to run a background check. We're going to look into you. And be honest with your application. The one thing that will get you thrown out of the process is if you're not transparent about what has happened or where you've been or what you've done, because there's nothing that's going to surprise me. But I want to know, and then we'll figure it out from there. Like I said, we've had some folks who were very thankful that we even allowed them and didn't think that we were going to let them in. And after a conversation, it worked out perfect, and we both were glad that the other was willing to be a part of it. So, so just be upfront. Tell us who you are. We want to have you. Let's see, what else?
I just also want to say, if you're interested in any part of the sheriff's office, we've already had an application come in and somebody's interested in maybe having a career with the sheriff's office. This is a great opportunity for you to learn about what we can provide, what we have. Just kind of meet some people. 2 academies ago, we ended up hiring like 3 people out of the academy, a couple into dispatch and then 1 with us. So you can definitely come check it out, see what it's all about.
Try it before you buy it.
Exactly. I think that's really great. And I do have to give a shout out to Deputy Cheek because he referred you and like half of the other class. So he's just, we need to give him a bonus, like a referral
The only thing better than a deputy for him is just being a human. Like, he is a better human than he is. We don't deserve him. So
I get to see them all the time. Like I said, it's not just the air in the courthouse, the people too.
Sure.
Yeah.
I applied. I went straight down to the courthouse to tell them that I applied. I was so excited. The application's open. I submitted my application. Everybody should do it. Yeah. It's like jury duty. It's a duty that you should ask not what your county can do for you. Ask what you can do for your county, right?
I'll just note too, like, Morgan, you did such a phenomenal job bringing the group together. The hospitality was incredible. It never felt burdensome. So you were in really good hands too throughout the whole process. I was very impressed with the spectrum of people we met. Like, I was going back through the book and I was like, we probably met 40 people or more.
I believe that.
And it was very hands-on. Like, I now feel like, because I have a house right across the street from the courthouse, I could holler at somebody and say, hey, I've got something, or I need help moving something. I could guarantee that any of them would do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I feel really thankful.
And I want their names if they won't.
I will let you know. But, you know, it's really good company. We left with a really solid cohort. I mean, a lot of them we're still in touch.
Sure.
So it's pretty cool.
My certificate's hanging in my office.
Fantastic.
I don't know where mine is. Probably in a pile of
I can make
papers.
you another one.
Look at that. Look at the. I mean,
The
Morgan,
hospitality.
Once
It's
again,
unlike anything
nonstop.
else.
It's nonstop. So, all right. Well, I think we've covered it. Is there anything else you can think of on the Citizens Academy front that we need to?
Just real quick, anything that we could do better next time? I take notes every year.
Yeah.
Anything that you think that I
No,
topic missed?
I legitimately cannot think of something. You get to shoot guns. I mean, if that's your thing. If not, you get to stand back and you can kind of observe.
You don't get to
from
bring your own
whatever
guns.
You don't get to bring your own
We've
guns.
had that.
They don't want that.
No
So
surprises.
don't try
We don't
that.
like those.
But they give you some good ones if that's your thing. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
The sights on it, very good.
Well,
Nice work.
I think that's a great point to bring up too. Is that we have a lot of folks who are just absolutely anti-gun. And speaking of my mother, she's not a fan, and I think it's a great opportunity for you to come in and learn, because we hear a lot in the news media about AR-15s, and I could spend the next 2 hours talking about the goods and the bads, but I bring those perspectives from a firsthand knowledge of having used, operated, and run one of those things. So I know exactly how beneficial they are for us in the worst situations in the world, but I also know how deeply, deeply deadly, and that they are. This is where I'm going to get a little on my
yeah.
soapboxy.
Oh, yeah, here we go.
No. But they are weapons of war made for war in the hands of civilians, and they are built specifically to create the greatest amount of trauma and casualty in a short amount of time in the tightest spaces. And we allow anybody to have them. So therefore, that's why your sheriff's office carries them, is because we can never be outgunned in a fight. But I also understand exactly where the other side is like, those are so deadly. Why do they exist? Well, they exist. There's nothing more we can do about that. That's not something for me to fight about. But if you want to learn more about them because you've never even held one, come on out. I'll show you. And you can even argue your point better about how dangerous these things are, because I'm here to tell you they're easy to shoot and they are highly, highly efficient. And so that's why the good guys and the bad guys love them. And so I think that's a great point to make, is that we do have people who are just like, I don't even want a part of that. Well, this is part of the education of it all, is learning both sides of that specific issues, and all of them.
And you were open to, I mean, all the discussions, to your credit, you were open to all of those.
Sure.
I mean, if somebody wanted to say, I think you're doing this completely wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, we had multiple times, the first session, certainly we got to addressed us, I think is maybe how you described it. It was good stuff. And then I think that's an accurate description. And then at that, the range day,
right,
you were also there. We got to ask you questions, and we could ask anything.
Sure.
And
100%.
that's something, if you can't have open, transparent conversations, then why are you not willing to talk about? That's kind of my position on things.
100%.
Right? If you have nothing to fear, you have nothing to
No,
hide, you have nothing to fear,
worry
which I disagree with at a constitutional level. But
Fair.
in our public entities, absolutely. And that's your position. You were open to talking about anything.
Yep.
And so that's very good, because you have constitutional rights too, Sheriff Armbrister.
Absolutely.
And you are
exactly
willing
right.
to talk about anything and willing to look at anything and listen to anybody. And yes, somebody who disagrees with guns, somebody who disagrees with law enforcement, could come and could argue their case better, because they will have a better understanding. And so if that's your thing, if that's where you want to come from, apply to the Citizens Academy.
I agree. I think, and we take all comers. And to your point too, is that when I signed up to run for, not when I get hired, but when I signed up to run for the sheriff, I basically offered myself up as a whole, warts and all, to my community. And that's I feel like that's part of my duty, is to still be me authentically, again, warts and all. And so I am not for everybody. I don't know if my wife can attest to that. I am not for everybody, but I don't want anybody to be afraid to ask a question or to ask me about something, because I'm gonna that's my job, is to respond. Now there's things I can't say and can't talk about, of course, but for the most part, I feel like our community deserves to hear from their leaders, the people that they put in positions of power. So I'm glad you took that away from it. So, okay, last part. I do this with everybody. If you say you've watched it, but I've actually kind of considered changing my question, but I just love it so much. But so you're going to be my guinea pigs. I'm going to ask you two questions. But the first one is the one that others have heard. So. I'm a music guy. I can't play a lick. That's what makes me love music so much. So what was your first concert? What was your most recent concert? And what was your favorite concert? And I can tell everybody that you can have just gone to your first concert ever 2 weeks ago and it was your favorite. That's an acceptable answer. Or I've had people say, I've never been to a concert. So I will judge you harshly. But
Oh, great. Super.
I would like to go second.
I wanted to let that marinate a bit.
Yeah.
First concert was Alison Krauss. I played violin growing up.
Yes.
And so
she's the reason I want to go to heaven, because I know what angels sound like. Holy cow, she's amazing.
It was the most boring concert, though. But I was like, wow. Anyway.
Yeah, it's more about the music than the experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Best concert. I used to go to a lot of music festivals. Now crowds kind of freak me out.
Yeah. Especially those crowds sometimes.
But there was a festival so I grew up in rural Nebraska. There was a festival called Comstock Rock. And it's in the middle of nowhere with all these windmills. That's the factor of it. But I got to see like Leonard Skinner and it was like REO Speedwagon, CCR, like the whole shebang. And we were going as like little kids, which was super inappropriate now that looking back on it.
No.
But we used to go with like everyone in our community, and it was a blast. So music festivals were really fun at one point in my life. And then you said recent concert?
Your most recent, yes.
Oh, gosh.
I know you've been busy.
Yeah, no, I haven't been too much. Kylie Minogue in Las Vegas.
Okay.
And it was a blast.
From the 80s, boy.
Yeah.
What was that song? It was something about a train or something. What was that? Her song that was so popular.
Love Train. No, not. What is it called? Locomotion.
Yeah, Locomotion. Yeah.
Yeah, she did a residency out there.
Which was a cover, I believe. So,
But, yeah, it was a blast.
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
You seem like a Kylie Minogue fan.
Yeah.
I'm not very cultured, so my problem is a lot of these, and I don't have rhythm in the traditional sense, in that.
Or any sense.
Yeah.
Or any sense. Thank you, Morgan. That's
What's
a
the
good
non-traditional
clarification.
sense of that?
We'll all wonder that, right? That's one of the things I can't talk about. First concert, probably me. Third grade, I played the trumpet. I'm not big on concerts. I did not play for very long.
Understood. Yeah.
Most recent concert, my son jamming on a drum that Santa brought him.
That sounds.
That was the one thing they asked for. Singing "This Little Light of Mine" or singing other songs. There was another one.
Did you lodge a grievance with Santa for bringing your kid a drum?
No,
What on earth? Holy
because
cow.
if that's what he asked for and that's what he got,
no,
right?
sir.
I heard
No,
Santa,
sir.
right? Santa got trapped on the roof of Weavers. I think it was part of a union negotiation. Maybe they
Santa would
left him for
do well to
maximum
never come
leverage.
back to my house if he brings a drum.
It's a little one, He's only got so much force at this point,
Fair.
but down the road we maybe
Yeah.
the drumsticks could
Yeah.
get lost. You never know. And then my favorite is a tie between my son and my dad and I went to Mumford and Sons, Gentlemen of the Road up in Iowa.
Yeah.
And that was awesome. That was
Sure. I saw them probably, I don't know, I guess it's probably been 10 years now, but yeah, I turned around. At one point, the stage lights came on and lit up, and I turned around and looked at the sandstone. I call it sandstone still. And I thought the entirety of Johnson County had been emptied out and was with me at Sandstone. Like every neighbor from Lenexa was probably with me at that. It was a very non-diverse crowd, as I noticed. So, but yeah, it was a great show. They're good folks. That's good stuff. The second question though is a question that was posed to me a long time ago, and I've heard it before. But if you could have a beer or a cup of coffee with somebody, non-family, that is alive or dead, who would it be? And what would you want to talk to him about?
I would like Morgan to go first.
Yeah. Oh,
I've already done these.
Nope, not this question.
Yeah,
Okay,
this one's
I was lying.
Oh my God.
Transparency.
I'll let you handle
Yeah,
that.
nope. Yeah, a 30-second rule.
A famous person? Okay, this is only
Doesn't
because...
have to be famous. It could be anybody.
No,
right?
it could be anybody, non-family. But
Well, I'm just going to say this. The author, Andy Weir, and that's just because I read Project Hail Mary recently, and I
You got questions?
despise the ending. What happened? Why did we do this? I'm just not
he's going to get the
happy.
same treatment Santa does if he brings you a drum.
So I would like to know, what was your thought process?
That's fair. That's fair. I used to think I would love to sit and talk with Hank Williams Sr. To find out, of course I want to have a beer with him at Tootsie's with nobody else in there, but just tell me, man, how'd it go? What was that? I want to hear his version of everything instead of the version that we get nowadays. So, but things like that, that's where I go with it. Thomas Jefferson, I'd love to, because knowing what I know now, I got a lot of questions for that guy.
What did you mean when you said this?
Yeah,
Exactly.
Absolutely. What is a creator? Yeah,
What is a higher law?
Well, exactly. What is a well-regulated militia? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I got questions.
That's hilarious. Mine's probably a little more casual. It'd probably be like Maya Rudolph or something.
Ooh,
Just like a little chat and laugh.
Yeah.
yes.
Sounds
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
I'm into that one.
Yeah.
Good.
A lot of names. I'm just going to hit,
Yeah,
throw out
sure.
three that came to mind because a lot. And then when you ask a question, there's like a pressure to answer it. It's kind of like
Right.
I'm doing a crossword again.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of flashing back. My cortisol levels are going up. But I'd say, Marcus Aurelius, I need a translator for sure.
For sure, yeah.
But the guy, I mean, just if you know his life, and then you read like Meditations, such good practical
dude had like
advice.
12 kids and only like 3 survived. I mean, it's just this unbelievable life.
The one son, didn't turn out so great.
Yeah.
We can watch Gladiator for that documentary.
Right.
But just somebody at his level, Meditations, the book that he
I
wrote.
I just got that. Somebody just gifted that to me.
You should read it because I'm like, this guy was at the
changed
peak
my life.
of the world.
Yeah. Okay.
Mine
Changed
too.
my life.
Yeah.
Right? And you're like, this guy's at the top of the world.
And it's like
he's
number 4 on
writing
my
such
queue.
good
I guess I better
practical-
move it up.
you gotta move it up or
Okay.
read faster.
Yeah,
Either one.
fair enough.
Ralph Ellison, that's an author. My dad always got to meet Albert Murray, who's his very good friend. So I do that one because I have some questions for him about The Invisible Man, the book that he wrote, and what exactly he meant, whether he ever met Malcolm X, whether they ever interacted.
Sure.
And then the other one, Dwight Eisenhower.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So,
That would be a great conversation as well. I just the breadth of his work, not just as president, but at the supreme leader in the Allied Command. That would he's got stories.
what did he mean with his last speech warning against the dangers of the military-industrial complex? Did he have anybody specific in mind? Did that have anything to do with what happened to his successor?
Right. Yeah. 100%. Oh.
I should read more. That's what I'm gathering from this.
Yeah. No,
Too tired.
Yeah. Start with Calvin and Hobbes. It's always
That's
easy
good to-
read and it's great.
Audible. I'm not reading all these words. I'm listening to all these words.
I can do
right?
that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much for your kind words, first off, and your support. But thank you for giving back and helping with to try to get the next generation of our Citizens Academy up and running. So we appreciate you coming along. Thank you again to Morgan for being Morgan
Thank you.
all the time. And I appreciate everything. So we'll see you next time on episode number 8. I'm working on a very special episode. There is a former sheriff that actually hired me that I really want to get in here and talk to because I have questions for him, and I know he can tell some stories if he's willing. So I'm looking forward to that one as well. So thank you so much, both of you, for coming, and thank you for everything. All right.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Nope, absolutely.